Mr. Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf.
Hey, Burleson, you're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
Yo, what's up, guys? This is NorbCam. Sorry for jumping on this show really late. I think it was a race for me to get back here to the studio, so I don't even know if this broadcast was already rolling and you guys were just waiting for me to go. But hey, here we are. It's on this Thursday. We had to move our regularly scheduled Wednesday program to today. Better late than never, though. And I do want to bring in at least some of my crew who joined me for our weekly segment to talk about some of these current events, and of course, well, I know why most of you guys are all here, is to do the NorbCam trivia, Seahawks trivia contest number 11. And we did have a winner from last time. I found out his name was actually Norberto, which is pretty cool because that's my dad's name and very close to my own name. And he could not make it on this show. I'm going to try to get him on a future show. But again, for the trivia contest on this one, you guys can have an opportunity to co-host the show if you're the lucky one to win, or you could win some Seahawks merch. We'll talk about it. For everybody on the chat, I want to thank you guys for waiting so patiently and jumping in here, like Army Man, LMN in the 305, Alex Pomiachowski, Sahil Vora, Sky High Aviation. Oh, I remember you've been here late times. That dude, also another regular, Micah, Brandon, the original, Joy, and a whole bunch of Anthony D. What's up? All right, so we're going to talk about a few things, but first I want to bring on my guests, 2 out of the 3 today, since we are missing one of them. All right, here we go. There is our regular group of my good friends here. We got Calvin Domingo at Steezy Way and Noah Boelter at DJ Squabo. Gentlemen, how you guys all doing today?
Pretty good.
Feeling good, feeling wonderful, feeling blessed.
It's a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. Sun is shining. Pretty great day in the Northwest. Noah, we missed you last time, man. It's good to have you back on the show to talk a little Seahawks and all things NFL.
Always, man. Love to be here.
Yeah. All right. So let's jump right into it so we don't waste too much time here. First of all, somewhat breaking news of the day. The NFL announced that they have canceled everything for the Hall of Fame 2020, the enshrinement ceremony, the game itself, due to COVID-19. Gentlemen, I don't know if this was much of a surprise to you or not, but I want to get your quick take. What do you think? Does this really mean much? Was this kind of expected? How does this concern you? Calvin, let's start with you.
It was kind of expected, because the Hall of Fame game, it is the first preseason game of the preseason schedule. It is kind of the game where, kicks everything off. And so because that game would have been in August, sometime in early August, right now we're still kind of, building ourselves back up. A lot of states throughout the country are moving into phase 2, phase 3. And so August isn't really too far off. And I'm not really surprised just because, like I said, we're still kind of rebuilding. I think that we shouldn't, look at this and think like, there's going to be no season. I don't look at it like that because September is still October, September. That's a ways to go. August is a little closer than that. And they did also talk about how they wanted to remove a couple of preseason games, and eliminating this game kind of does that.
How about you, Noah?
Like Calvin said, it was pretty expectable. It's one of those traditions that the NFL has for a very long time. And because of that, it's obviously going to alter the beginning of the season. But a lot of people don't watch the Hall of Fame game anyways. A lot of people don't pay attention to it. It's just the beginning of what's going to be an unusual year in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it just speaks to the very volatile nature right now with teams, still limited access to facilities, yet you have players like Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf getting together to throw the ball around. It's just kind of all over the place, and it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams prepare for this upcoming 2020 season, should we have one. Jeremy Goebel in the Super Chat says, Chris Osmo 2.0 is back at it again. All right, Jeremy, welcome to the show. Thank you. And if you guys do have a question you want to make sure we address, Super Chat is a great way to make sure that we do. I'm wearing my Pro Football Hall of Fame jersey, as you can see right here, Seahawks Legends. I actually got this when I went to the ceremony in Canton, Ohio in 2017 to watch can he easily go in and get inducted? I was there with Mark Collins, and we were escorting Mama Blue, he got a very special shout out. It was an awesome day. She was a hoot to travel with, but I had to wear the shirt in honor of that Hall of Fame ceremony, which unfortunately in 2020 is not going to happen. I guess it's been pushed back to 2021, and they're going to do sort of a joint ceremony separately, but on the same time period. So they'll do 20 and 21, all kind of in the same compacted time frame. So too bad for the guys who are going into 2020. It's just kind of been this year with, if you're graduating or having any kind of recognition ceremony in 2020, it's been just sort of a bum deal, and this is just a continuation of that. So, guys, I want to talk about these other rumors. You know, when there's no football to talk about, well, what do you talk about? You talk about the rumors that are floating around, some of them with some teeth to it, some of them maybe not. First of all, Jamal Adams saying he wants to be traded by the New York Jets, and now there's some conversation that potentially the Seahawks may want to, or possibly a landing spot for him. And then Antonio Brown continues to float around the conversation ever since Russell Wilson said he'd love to see Antonio Brown in a Seahawks uniform. More conversations about that possibility. Let's start with Jamal Adams and you, Calvin. What do you think about this development? It's been a few days in the making, but where will he end up, and could the Seahawks be one of those? I believe you talked about this in your video, but go ahead and talk a little bit more in full, your take on this, Jamal Adams.
So I'm not very surprised. You know, he does play for the New York Jets, and Adam Gase is the head coach for the New York Jets. And everybody has a problem with Adam Gase. I think that people are putting way too much weight on what he did when he was in Denver, you know, coaching up Peyton Manning and those boys. You know, he was the offensive coordinator, and they were putting up record numbers. And so ever since those years, he's kind of established his reputation as a quarterback guru, or as a quarterback who can work wonders with an offense. Since then, he hasn't done anything. He's been in Miami. Those teams have been very pedestrian. With New York, the team has been very pedestrian. The offense has been terrible. Sam Darnold took a step back instead of taking the step forward that everyone expected them to take with Adam Gase taking over. And so I say all that to say that Adam Gase has simply put, he's been a terrible head coach. And Jamal Adams, he's not very happy with that. I could see him staying in New York if, one, they're willing to give him the money that he's asking for, and two, if they're willing to just fire Adam Gase. They have a lot of talent in New York. Sam Darnold, I think he has a lot of promise as a quarterback. Le'Veon Bell looked like a very mediocre running back last season. He's shown a track record of success. Adam Gase just doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't know what he's still doing as the head coach. Frank Gore said he signed with them because of Adam Gase. I don't know if there's any truth to that statement, or if he's just saying that because New York took a chance on him. But I think that the relationship between Jamal Adams and New York can be salvaged if they do something about Adam Gase. Otherwise, they're going to have to ship him off. And I think Dallas, Cleveland are two teams that should definitely trade for Adams. I think Seattle's definitely in the mix as well. I just think that the asking price is a little too high, coupled with the fact that we have a pretty decent group of safeties, and so he'd be a little bit more of a luxury than a necessity. Obviously, we'd all love to see him go to Seattle. I'd love to see him go to Seattle, just not at that price tag. And so, with that said, we did talk about Cleveland, Noah and I, in my on my channel. But I want to talk about Dallas for a little bit. I think Dallas is actually a team that kind of leapfrogs Cleveland, and I think that they should trade for Adams just because I think they're the best fit for Adams. They have the need. They're desperate. Jerry Jones, he's been desperate to win a title. They haven't made any noise in the playoffs for forever now. And I think that with Dak Prescott caving in and signing that franchise tender or the franchise tag, I think that now they're able to go on and make other moves. They could cut Tyrone Crawford and save an extra $8 million in cap space, because right now they have about 10. And so 10 plus 8, that's 18. That's a little closer to Adams' asking price. And he even said he's willing to take a discount if he's traded to Dallas. You know, he wants to go there really badly, and I can see him taking 17, 18, and he still has 2 years left on his contract. And so if he was to be traded to Dallas this offseason, he doesn't have to sign the extension. His agent has already talked about how Adams is willing to be traded to another team without having to sign a contract extension. And so Dallas could worry about that next season, and they could go into this season knowing that Jerry Jones is kind of giving it his all, and he's really hoping that they can start making some real, noise in the playoffs.
So Noah, you guys did talk about this on your collaboration, but you're here on this platform, so share your thoughts about that. Very well articulated there, Calvin. So Noah, I'd like to get your take.
I think Calvin raised some really good points. I think Dallas is a potential suitor. I think Cleveland is a potential suitor as well, based on their amount of cap space. But I disagree with both of those as being the most likely. But I'd first like to talk about the potential of Jamal Adams coming to Seattle. I think the type of package Seattle would have to offer for a deal like that would be somewhere around a second-round pick and Bradley McDougald. I'm not giving them a first-round pick for Adams based on the fit within our system. We want guys that get their hands on the football. He only had one interception last year. While he had 6.5 sacks, a lot of that is the scheme with Greg Williams in New York. I don't think he would have necessarily that many sacks, especially his first year in Seattle. And he wants top dollar. He wants to reset the market. The top safeties right now are getting paid $14 million and 14.6. That's Eddie Jackson and Kevin Byard. I'm not resetting the market for a guy that only had one interception. When you're paying him like somebody who's going to be a real game changer at times and get the ball back, especially on a defense like Seattle where we love to get the football. Now, a team that I think is the best fit is very similar to Seattle, and I like to compare them all the time, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They have a great head coach. They have a knack and a history with going for these crazy trades. They just lost Malcolm Jenkins this offseason. They have Jalen Mills on a one-year, $4 million contract right now. He's only played 17 games over the past 2 years, had 0 sacks, and I think 1 pick. So he hasn't had the biggest impact. You bring in Jamal Adams. They want to compete. They want to smack the Cowboys in the face. They hate the Cowboys. How insulting would that be for Dallas if you were to bring in the guy that they were supposed to get once again? You remember the rumors when they were talking about potentially getting Amari Cooper from the Cowboys. Another reason why I don't necessarily love it for the Cowboys, Calvin, you made a good point about how they could make the numbers work. No matter where he goes, I don't think he should break the market. I'm not paying him more than $14 million because of the fact that he doesn't get his hands on the football as much as he is going to set the tone for a defense. But if he goes to Dallas, especially with the way that you were talking about, Calvin, where they might not extend him this year but might go into the offseason, they have way too many guys that they have to pay top dollar at their position. DeMarcus Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Zeke, all these guys that they're talking about, Jalen Smith now getting top dollar, all these guys that they have to pay top dollar, and going into the offseason for Jamal Adams, understanding that the fact that he's going to want top dollar. Jerry Jones, I agree with the fact that they have the belief factor and the desperation to go after a guy like Jamal Adams. But if they were to bring him in, I don't see a long-term deal, and I think he wants a long-term deal. Because of that, I don't think Dallas is the best fit. I would say Philly.
Interesting. Well, it's Seattle's backfield. I like the Seattle secondary, especially with Quentin Dunbar in it. And of course, we all know that that's a big what if on that scenario, given that it's kind of been quiet. We've almost forgotten about that story, haven't we? With all the news headlines that change day to day, the Quentin Dunbar arrest and trial to come is almost been forgotten in all the noise that's been happening from day to day. But that's going to be a big part of what's going to be a big effect on. I think we all felt pretty good about the secondary, knowing he was coming. Now, if he doesn't, all of a sudden, what does that change? But I agree. I think it seems like this is a running theme when it comes to Seattle and these big name free agents. We all say we'd love to have them there, but Seattle's not going to spend that kind of money or give up that much draft capital for them. I certainly wouldn't want to give up Bradley McDougald. Like, he's one of the best safeties we've had in Seattle, and then you got some guys who might step up and be those be the guys that in their first or second years to really take the next step forward. But we haven't seen it yet. Marquise Blair, are they ready to take that next step forward? So let's just keep our fingers crossed that we can somehow get Quentin Dunbar playing on the field, and maybe we will forget the fact that we don't get Jamal Adams in the secondary. All right, let's turn our attention to the Antonio Brown saga. I've been pretty public about my feeling that I am not in favor of this, as much as the talent has been pretty spectacular. But I want to get your guys' take on how legit you think that rumor is, and whether there's any chance that he could actually come here. Calvin, we'll start with you.
I think it's very, there's a lot of, I think it's very realistic, him coming to Seattle, just because
realistic. Realistic. Are you saying realistic? Okay.
Yeah, okay. Realistic. Just because the only two teams that have been reported to want Antonio Brown are the Seahawks and the Ravens. But earlier today, there was a report that there's talk within the Baltimore Ravens front office that now they don't know about bringing him in, and so that leaves Seattle. And a couple reasons why I believe Seattle should actually sign him, and why I think it's realistic, is because, like you mentioned, Russell Wilson, he's been clamoring for Antonio Brown, for the last couple of months now, and we haven't really heard anything about Antonio Brown. We know that there's an ongoing case about him, and they're currently investigating. But I think that once that gets solved, he'll be suspended, maybe 10 games, maybe 12 games, maybe 14 games, maybe the entire regular season. And so if we were to sign him and he was to be suspended for the entire season, he could be ready in time for a playoff run. And so I think that that's the incentive in signing him, knowing that he could maybe miss the entire regular season, but he could be there for us in the playoffs, which is when we'll probably need him the most. And he won't command a whole lot of money. And I think $6 million, $7 million on a 1-year deal. It could be non-guaranteed. It could just be fully incentivized. And so I think that if you throw that out there, Seattle's very realistic, and we should go after him. He's a superstar still. I still feel like he could be a top 5 wide receiver in football. Why not take a chance?
It sounds almost like the Percy Harvin scenario. Percy Harvin, we signed him big, and then he was gone for most of the season in 2013 with that injury. Came back pretty much just in the postseason and pretty much ensured that Super Bowl 48 victory. Then he didn't last much longer after that in the following season. But that actually did work out in the sense of an insurance policy to make sure we did well in the postseason. Noah, what's your thoughts on this? Agree or disagree with Calvin's take?
Well, first of all, I really agree with what he had to say about the contract details. If we were to bring in an Antonio Brown, obviously you want it to be play-based. You want to be incentivized so that the more games that he actually shows up and plays on the field, the better. He only played 1 game last year, and that was for New England, 4 catches, 60-some yards. I think it was 63. Not the most outstanding year, obviously, for Antonio Brown, coming off 6 straight years of not 1,000 plus yards, 1,200 plus yards. He's obviously one of the best wide receivers in the NFL when he's at his best. Unfortunately, with Antonio Brown, and I hate to bring this up, but based on his decision-making and the way that he spiraled down, a lot of rumors and a lot of people have brought up the fact that it might be some mental illness with him. It might be early signs of CTE and messes with your cognitive function, how you can problem solve and how you deal with situations. And obviously Antonio Brown has showed signs where his decision-making isn't the best. And what I think it would take for Antonio Brown to come to Seattle, I think it would take 2 things. And I think it's a good fit because of the fact that Seattle is pretty much polar opposite of Bill Belichick, which is the last place that he was at. Bill Belichick is the guy that goes by the book. It's all about football and everything like that. It's all serious, whereas Pete Carroll, more lackadaisical in the locker room. So if he doesn't work in Seattle and he doesn't work in New England, every other team is pretty much in between there, so I don't think he works in the NFL. What it would take is those 2 things for him to come to Seattle. Number 1, Antonio Brown has to be humble. He has to have learned from what has happened and what has transpired over the past year. You heard what Deion Sanders came out and told Antonio Brown, had a sit-down conversation with Antonio Brown about how he once was near suicide. What that should do for Antonio Brown, hopefully, is open his eyes. Hopefully, he can learn from it and become humble and grow from this and put himself in a position to be back on the big stage where he belongs, making money. I heard him rap a couple months ago. It was really bad. He needs to stick to football. The other thing that it would take for him to come to Seattle would be Pete Carroll has to be flexible. What I mean by that is we can't have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Philip Dorsett, and Antonio Brown in our wide receivers with the second best, if not the best quarterback in the NFL right now in Russell Wilson and not sling the football more than we have been in the past. We already had rumors this offseason about wanting to let Russell Wilson take part of the offense even more than the running attack as we have in the past. But we've heard that multiple different off seasons. I don't believe it until I see it. We need Pete Carroll to be flexible in order for this to work, because even though AB would have to be humble to come to Seattle and to take one of those lesser deals like a 6, 7, maybe even $5 million 1-year deal. Pete Carroll would have to be flexible because Antonio Brown's coming off 6 straight years as well. Since the year Russell Wilson was drafted into the NFL was the last year before last year that Antonio Brown didn't have 100 receptions. That's coming into our offense where we like to run first. Pete Carroll has to be flexible, and Antonio Brown has to be humble for it to work.
I actually was against the idea, I think, of him coming in and playing a full season. But the idea now of him coming in at the end, just for the postseason, should he be suspended for a good extension of the regular season, is kind of appealing to me in the sense that by the time he comes in, if that were the case, then we've already established our locker room. The chemistry and the camaraderie of the team is already fused. We would already be set, so you wouldn't have to worry about him coming in and disrupting things from the beginning like he did in the Raiders Hard Knocks last year that we all saw. But to come into a situation where he's the new guy and he just has to fit in and everybody else has kind of established their roles, I kind of like that, where he could just be, again, like the Percy Harvin coming in and just having this, all of a sudden, this sort of extra lightning, this little fuse. You can kind of go, well, we've got all these guys doing great. Oh, and by the way, let's throw in this little trick bomb that we can throw in here every once in a while. I kind of like the idea of that. So if it were on those terms where he does have to come in kind of with something to prove because he really has nowhere else to go, and we're already in a winning situation with our established wide receiving core, our tight end group, hopefully, as I've said, I think all year long, the tight end crew is the key to postseason success this year. That would just be like the cherry on top. Maybe it's not the cherry, but you know what I'm saying. It would just be that, the little something on something already good. So I like that. I hadn't given that much thought in terms of that sort of situation where he comes in, but interesting, because most of it was more on the negative side, so I guess there's a positive spin. Thank you for shedding some light on it. All right, so last thing I wanted to talk about, we don't have to go too deep in it, but we talked a little bit about the running backs and kind of doing a comparison. I just want to do a general look at the Seahawks wide receiving core now that we're on the subject of Antonio Brown. Let's talk about the receivers we already have. And I think everybody knows DK, awesome first year, expects a lot in the second year. But quietly, we haven't really been talking too much about Tyler Lockett, who has just sort of steadily been the guy who's been like the rock, the Alter Baldwin. Let's talk a little bit just about the receiving core. When and all is said and done, who's going to be the star of that group? Who's going to be the one where we all talk about, told you he was going to be the guy. I mean, what do you guys think? Who's going to be the standout? Maybe the guy who's going to be the workhorse, the go-to guy for Russell Wilson, and who's going to be the surprise guy who comes out like, man, I did not see that coming. That was awesome that he was able to step up this season. Calvin, I'll start with you.
I'm going to go with DK, just because last season, DK and Tyler Lockett, when you look at their production, it was already pretty even. Tyler Lockett had a slight edge in both categories in receptions, 82 to 58, and then he had 1,057 yards to DK's 900, and then he had 8 touchdowns to DK's 7. But when you look at the fact that DK was a very raw rookie last season, he was only running really 1 or 2 routes every single game, and he was able to accumulate as much production as he did. He's been working with Russell Wilson this entire offseason. They've been, putting in work, trying to establish even more chemistry, working on their games together. I just think that next season he takes that next leap, and he's able to leapfrog Tyler Lockett in the pecking order. He has superstar written all over him. We've been raving about his potential. And Brian Schottenheimer, he's even talked about how they want to open up the playbook more for him. They want him to run more routes. I don't think that he would bring that up if he didn't actually mean it. And Russell Wilson, I think that he's in for a career year. He has the best set of weapons around him, and that's going to benefit DK. That's going to take a little bit, more coverage off of him and towards other guys like Greg Olsen. If Will Dissly can stay healthy, we can have a 3-headed monster at tight end. Tyler Lockett's going to be able to stretch the field, as will Philip Dorsett. There's still the possibility of us bringing back Josh Gordon. He can do plenty of things. Our running game is going to be at its best. Our offensive line has improved. I think that bodes well for DK.
So DK, Lockett assumedly number 2. So who's the big number 3 guy? Who takes the bronze spot on the podium? I assume those two are going to be on the top of the list. Who's the number 3 guy? Who steps up and becomes the number 3 receiver? We all got guys they're all kind of like guys, but no one I think is expecting just something huge out of Philip Dorsett. No one's expecting John Ursua to come in here and blow things up. David Moore has kind of been what it is, So who is that third guy? Who's the third guy who comes in here? No, I'll get to you in a second. But Calvin, finish your argument. Who's the number 3 guy who maybe makes a push this year?
Does it have to be a receiver, or can I say a tight end?
I want to stick with the receiving crew. The tight end is his own special 2-3-headed monster. I want to focus on who's the number 3 guy who really steps up and becomes something special in this group behind 1 and 2.
Wow. Okay, I got to say, I don't want to stick with the boring answer, but I'm gonna go with it anyway. I'm gonna say Philip Dorsett, just because I like what he brings to the table. It fits in pretty nicely with what Russell Wilson can do best, which is throwing the deep ball. And Philip Dorsett, he was playing in New England the last couple of seasons, but Tom Brady, while he could still throw the deep ball, it just wasn't at the same level as it was earlier in his career. And with Philip Dorsett, he's been wanting to come to Seattle. We wanted him. And as I mentioned before in previous shows, he has that first-round pedigree. There was a reason why he was drafted in the first round back in 2013, 2014 by the Colts coming out of Miami. And he's always been a deep threat guy. I just think that he hasn't been utilized as he should have been in these previous stops. I think that Seattle, we'll use him to the best of his ability. Russell Wilson will be able to take advantage of his skill set, and he'll be able to step in as a perfect number 3 receiver.
All right, Philip Dorsett. Okay, so Noah, going to get your take on this. Just guys, ready for all of you guys who are watching out there. It is trivia time after this segment right here. So get ready with your Kahoot logins or your Kahoot apps. We will be getting into it in just a couple minutes. But first, I would want to get Noah's take on this. Who's the dominant receiver this year, and then who sneaks in number 3? So Noah, let's get your take on the receiving group.
I hate to agree with Calvin, but I agree with Calvin. I think DK Metcalf is the number 1 wide receiver this year. I think Tyler Lockett takes a small step back just to get an idea of what that looks like. Last year he had 82 receptions. This year I think he has 75. I do believe Tyler Lockett's yards per reception goes up this year. Reason being because DK Metcalf's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. The coverage is going to shift over to DK. Tyler Lockett now has an opportunity to make bigger plays. I also think that Tyler Lockett's number of 20-plus yard plays though goes down based on the loss of volume with DK getting more touches. I think DK has more touchdowns this year than last year. I think he has more yards this year than last year. I'm posting an in-depth video. It's already uploaded. It's premiering tonight at 8 o'clock on the specifics of this, but I do think DK Metcalf is the number 1 wide receiver, Tyler Lockett number 2, and I think they get the biggest amount, and it's not even going to be close. I think those two both have 1,000-yard seasons. Because of that, I don't think there's a lot of other yards to go around, and I think Philip Dorsett is number 3, but I think it's a very distant number 3, somewhere around maybe 400, 500 yards, if that. So I think DK and Tyler are a very strong 1-2. I think Dorsett is a pretty minuscule 3.
I've been toting the horn for John Ursua, man, and nobody really knows why Ursua didn't get more playing time last year, and he almost won the game against the 49ers if he could have just reached the ball over and we would have gotten a touchdown with that play. John Ursua, what's your guys' take on him? Is he going to be just another silent guy buried in the depth, or does he get a little more action this year? I'd like to see it happen, but what's your guys' take? Calvin.
I think we all want to see him, get more action. I just think that because we're so stacked at tight end, we have a few stars at wide receiver. We have new running backs in the fold and Carlos Hyde. I just don't think that there'll be enough, touches for. I don't think there'll be enough touches to go around for John Ursua to really make that much of an impact. I think he definitely builds upon what he did last season, which wasn't too much. He definitely showed signs. I think the fact that the Seattle coaching staff, the fact that he was in the game shows that they had trust in him. And so I think that, he's definitely a player to watch out for, just not next season.
Yeah. They did trust him to in that point of the game, but then they didn't play him at all against the Packers, which I never understood that. So I thought it was the start of things to come, and then he pulled him right back again. So who knows? If he'd scored the touchdown, maybe he would have been starting the next game, but he didn't, and he didn't play again. So we'll see what he is in 2020. Noah, any last thoughts on Mr. John Ursua?
Yeah, the good news about Ursula is that he caught 100% of the passes that were thrown his way last year. The bad news is that's only one more catch on the year than you, me, and Calvin combined. I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact this year. I think he potentially could have more. I don't. It's hard to have less than one reception on the year, so I think he's going to have more. Probably like 4, 5, maybe 7 to 10. That would be ideal for a John Ursua, at least for right now. I don't see him having a major impact though, and he's still number 5 or 6 on the depth chart for me.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to have more than one reception when you are not in the game, except for one time. So, his percentage is pretty high, but one play, one pass, one catch. The completion average is very high. All right, let's do this. Are you guys ready for some trivia?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
All righty, guys. So everyone get your cahoots ready. We're going to do this thing. So 50 players, hopefully go close to 60. Looks like we got a good turnout today, so I think this is going to work out pretty good. So everybody get set. It is Trivia Contest number 11. Let's go. All right, here we go, guys. Getting set. There's the number, hopefully. 698-385. 698-385. Jump on in. Put your Kahoot code right now. 698-385. We got LML in the 305. We got 12th Man. We got Tyler Greaves, Sergio, Seahawks Fan 87, Dangerous, Go Hawks, Biden 2020, That Dude, Sugar Daddy, Radiant Bear, Ori's Mom, Lamar Jackson, DK MVP, Samoan, Shanoy, That Dude, Norb something, VPN, Johnny DeMuro, Gage, Ray in Des Moines, Lettuce Brockle, Noah Boelter. I love when they start putting you guys in as names. It's like you're so big with celebrities. They put people like Russell Wilson and they put you guys in as characters in here. I like the one where it was where Martin actually played and he put himself in as Martin Sucks. That was good. That was actually way to fight fire with fire. Nick LeBeau, of course, in there. Russell for MVP. Canada Hawks. We got 43 players. We'll give you like 30 more seconds to get to 50. 45 players now. 46. Seahawks Micah. Norb is the best. Thank you very much. Seahawks 12. Joey D. Seahawks Eddie. Leon Sandcastle. Zoot. Norb Cousin 2.0, Sky High Aviation, welcome back. 48 players, almost to 50, 15 seconds, 49 players now. Kakaich 11, Devin Peterson, we're at 50, now into 51. 10 more seconds, 54. Devin Peterson, Andre M, Brandon, DJ from Cali, 56 players now. Can we get 60? 7 seconds to go. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we got 55 players in the house. Let's start the contest. 12 questions. The last 3 will be for double points. And again, the person who wins gets an opportunity to co-host the show, or you can have some cool swag or merch your way. All right, got a last entry, Andrew P. Welcome to the contest. Let's get it going on right here. Question number 1. Good luck, everybody. Question 1. Who is the oldest player on the Seahawks roster? Dwayne Brown, Mike Iupati, Bruce Irvin, or Greg Olsen? Oldest player on the Seahawks roster. Dwayne Brown, Mike Iupati, Bruce Irvin, or Greg Olsen? Oldest player on the Seahawks roster. Brown, Iupati, Irvin, or Olsen? Time is up. Oh, yeah. Most of you guys got this in YouTube. 29 of you got the correct answer. Yes, that would be Greg Olsen, who came out of retirement to play with the Seahawks. Let's see how our panel did here. Calvin, you first.
I said Greg Olsen because I know that Dwayne Brown's 35 and Olsen was actually contemplating retirement this past offseason. So I figured he was a little older than 35. I just wasn't sure exactly what, but I said Olsen anyway. I
think Dwayne Brown's actually 34 and Greg Olsen is 35. But you got the right order correct in terms of age. Noah, how about you?
Okay.
I almost said Upati, but then you threw in Olsen. I was like, it's probably that guy.
All right. Okay, so one apiece. Let's see what the YouTube scoreboard looks like right here. All right, at the top, Tyler Greaves, 12th man in second, Kivu in second, Noah Boelter in fourth, and Norb is the best in fifth. Look at that. Two of the guys here are right from our panel. All right, let's go to the next question. Question number two. Where was Russell Wilson born? Cincinnati, Ohio, Raleigh, North Carolina, Madison, Wisconsin, or Hartford, Connecticut? Birthplace of Russell Wilson, Cincinnati, Ohio, Raleigh, North Carolina, Madison, Wisconsin, or Hartford, Connecticut? Cincinnati, Raleigh, Madison, Hartford. Time is up. Oh, yeah, look at that. Sharp as the tack. The YouTube audience is. Trivia questions are getting easier and easier. 32 of you got that correct. Yes, it was Cincinnati, Ohio. Calvin, did you know this?
I did. I said Wisconsin. I thought it was Virginia. I thought he was from Richmond. Is he not from Richmond?
I don't know if he lived there, but he was not born there. He did play college ball in North Carolina and Wisconsin, but he might have lived there for a spell. I'm not sure, but he was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. Noah.
So I remembered him living multiple places. I thought Richmond was one of them. I thought it was an East Coast city, so I went with Connecticut. I got it wrong too.
Oh, man, YouTube got this one right. Panel 0 for 2 from our two panelists. Let's see how the scoreboard shakes up after this question. Tyler Greaves stays in first. Kivu moves up to second. Goes to third. Russell for MVP to fourth. And Sky High Aviation jumps into the top 5 at number 5. Let's go to the next question. Question number 3. What was Bobby Wagner's record for tackles in a season? 146, 153, 164, or 177? Bobby Wagner's record for tackles in a season: 146, 153, 164, or 177? You have 3 seconds. Time is up. Oh, not so sure on that one. 18 of you got that one correct. 164 tackles is correct. I believe that was in 2016 when he did that one, when he accomplished that feat. Calvin, what say you?
I got it right. I said 164. I know it was higher than 146. And I just remember seeing 160 when I was looking at his stats not too long ago, and so I just went with that.
Nice. Noah?
I didn't know it was higher than 146, so I said 146 and got it wrong.
Oh, look at this. Calvin in the lead, leaving Noah behind. How often does that happen? Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard and see what changes here. Not much changes at the top. Tyler Greaves still at number 1. Kivu in second. Sky High Aviation moves to third. Crisostemo drops to fourth. And Russell for MVP hangs on in fifth. Let's go to the next question. Question number 4. How many sacks did Bruce Irvin get last season? 6, 8.5, 9, or 7? Bruce Irvin sacks last season: 6, 8.5, 9, or 7? Looking forward to more productivity from him. Was it 6, 8.5, 9, or 7? Time is up. Well, most of you on YouTube, 21 of you got that correct. 8.5 sacks was the correct answer. Let's go to the panel. Calvin.
I was 0.5 off. I said 9.
Rounded high. Sorry, Calvin. Noah, did you know this one?
I did. We talked about it on the show a lot, and I remember doing that research.
It was, well, and if you had been, anytime someone gets 1.5 sacks, it kind of stands out when you got that little decimal point in here. So I tried to make it a little bit easier, and I think the YouTube audience got that. It was the only 8.5. It was only 0.5 number that they had in there. With that score, Noah, you are tied with Calvin with 2 points apiece. Let's go to the YouTube audience and see how the scoreboard changes after that question. Oh, a little shift. Tyler Greaves still at number 1, dominating, but not by much. 12-point lead on Kivu, who's in second. Crisostemo moves up to third, back to third. Sky High Aviation moves up to fourth, and Shanoy into the top 5 at number 5. Let's go to the next question. Question number 5. Who was the first player drafted by the Seahawks in 2020? That was this latest draft. First player, Darrell Taylor, Damian Lewis, Colby Parkinson, or Jordan Brooks? First player drafted by the Seahawks this year's draft. Darrell Taylor, Damian Lewis, Colby Parkinson, Jordan Brooks. 3 seconds. Time is up. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Overwhelming. I thought this was about the easiest question I've probably ever asked on the trivia show. 48 of you got this. Hardly anyone missed it. Jordan Brooks, yes, the inside linebacker, drafted number 1 by the Seahawks. Calvin.
I said Colby Parkinson. No,
No, you're kidding, right?
I said Jordan Brooks.
Okay. I was gonna say. Oh man, I would have peed my pants if you got that one wrong. But Noah, how about you, man? I assume you know this one.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to miss, right? All right, so you guys are tied with 3. Pretty easy question for everybody. Let's go to the scoreboard and see how things shake up. Oh, look at this. Tyler must have took a misstep, or maybe was a little bit slow on the draw, because Kivu moves up and takes a 23-point lead. So it's Kivu in number 1, Tyler Greaves in 2nd, Chris Sasabo holds in 3rd, Sky High Aviation in 4th, Shinoy in 5th. No change except at number 1 and 2. Let's go to the next question. They will get a little bit harder. Number 6. What date was the Kingdom implosion? April 5th, 1999, March 26th, 2000, May 10th, 2000, or March 13th, 2001. Kingdom implosion date, April 5th, 1999, March 26th, 2000, May 10th, 2000, or March 13th, 2001. Time is up. Oh, YouTube is very sharp today. You guys guessed March 26, 2000. Yes, it was the 10-year anniversary just 3 months ago. 22 of you got that correct. March 26, 2000. Calvin.
I got it wrong. I said 2001. I just guessed.
It's not the kind of date you normally circle, but it was a significant date in the sense of end of an era of the Kingdom existence. Noah.
You know, I'm actually kind of proud. I psychologically broke this one down. I have no clue. It was a guess. But you had 2 that were 2000, so I knew it was one of those, and then you had 2 that were March. I marched at 2000, and it got it right.
So you just, by process of elimination, a little psychology, and a little 50-50, you got it right. Because you really had no idea what year or anything.
No clue.
Yeah, so this guy is going to do well on his SAT test, hopefully. Well, you already took your SAT, right? You already took it. Did you do well on your SAT test?
I got 1230. It's all right.
Did you use this logic sometimes to figure out some of those tough questions?
Oh, all of it. The whole thing, the whole 5 hours. It was straight just logic and process. I didn't know what I was doing.
All right, well, with that score, you get a 1-point lead, 4-3 over Calvin, back on top. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard and see how things change after that one. Oh my! Tyler Greaves moves up to 1st. Kivu just disappeared off the top 5. Chrysostamo moves to 2nd. DJ from Cali moves into 3rd. Shinoy moves up to 4th. And Norb is the best. Enters the top 5 at number 5. Next question. What receiver had the most receiving yards in Super Bowl 48? Was it Jermaine Kearse, Percy Harvin, Doug Baldwin, or Golden Tate? Which Seahawks receiver had the most receiving yards in Super Bowl 48? Kearse, Harvin, Baldwin, or Tate? Kearse, Harvin, Baldwin, or Tate? Time is up. A majority of the YouTube audience got that right. Doug Baldwin was the correct answer to that, barely by a yard. He got 1 more yard over Jermaine Kearse, who was in a very close 2nd place. 21 of you guys got that correct out in YouTube land. Go to the panel. Calvin.
I went with the 2nd place guy, Jermaine Kearse.
It was close, man. I mean, it was almost 50-50, but you couldn't almost go wrong with either of those 2 guys. They're neck and neck, but one off. Noah, did you guess right on this one? I'm guessing you knew it was down to those 2.
Well, now that you brought up the fact that it was 1 yard apart, I remember them talking trash later on, but I forgot that at the time. So I just tried to remember who made more plays. I remembered Baldwin, more plays from Baldwin than Kerr, so I said Baldwin.
Ooh, a good guess there in a very close race. That puts you at 2 points ahead now, 5-3. Noah with the lead. Let's see how the YouTube scoreboard shakes out now to this one. Ooh, not much change, except Kivu's back. Kivu comes back to the 5th spot, but Tyler Greaves on top. Chrysostamo holds it 2nd. DJ from Cali in 3rd, and Shenoy at 4th. Here's the next question. What college did Chris Carson play for? Was it Arizona State, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, or LSU? Chris Carson's college. Arizona State, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, or LSU? 7th round pick. Time is up. Oh, man, you guys are sharp, you guys. You guys in YouTube land, man, you guys are just killing it today. 32 of you got the right answer. I didn't know that was that easy of a question. Oklahoma State was the correct answer. Let's see how our panel did. Calvin, did you know this about our workhorse running back here?
Nah. Nah, I didn't actually. I said Texas A&M because I remember seeing a college picture of him not too long ago, and I guess I mistook it for Texas A&M colors. Yeah.
I probably would have got this wrong too, because I did not know off the top of my head. The way I do these trivia is I just think of questions. I don't think of the answers. I just go, okay, let's just ask about this. And then I look it up and try, because I usually ask questions I don't know the obvious answer to. And I didn't know that one. I was like, I don't know what college he went to. I knew he went to a community college before that. But Noah, how about you? Did you know the whereabouts of Chris Carson before he came to the Seahawks?
You know, I thought he was a Texas guy. I said Texas A&M.
Oh, man, you guys both missed it. But you two, man, you guys are sharp. You're either sharp or really good cheaters in looking things up on the internet. 32, got that correct. Let's see how the scoreboard shakes out after this very dominatingly easy question for the YouTube audience and very difficult question for our panel. A few shifts. Tyler Greaves holds at the top spot at 92.51. DJ from Cali moves to 2nd. Chrysostamo to 3rd. Kivu back up 1 spot to 4th. And Shenoy at 5th. I feel like this is like a 4-horse race, man. It's like Kivu, Shenoy, Tyler, and Chrysostamo just kind of bouncing around. It's like a bunch of horses are all kind of jockeying for position. Speaking of horse racing, Emerald Downs, where I do the viewing parties, they actually opened up. Just recently had they're actually technically the first professional sports organization to go back into business. They had their first horse race just this past, I believe this past week. No audience, just a bunch of jockeys and horses and some staff people. But racing is back at Emerald Downs. Just no crowds. Not good for us yet. So hopefully we'll have those viewing parties eventually. So let's go to the next question. Here we go. Question number 9. Who shares the record for longest punt return in Seahawks history? Is it Tyler Lockett, Leon Washington, Joey Galloway, or Nate Burleson? Who shares the record for longest punt return in Seahawks history? Lockett, Washington, Galloway, or Burleson? Longest punt return, Seahawks history. Lockett, Washington, Galloway, Burleson. Oh, YouTube was totally fooled on this one. Only 4 of you got this correct. I didn't know this either. I was shocked to find it out. Nate Burleson, analyst for the NFL Network. Good old Nate from O'Day High School, local product. Yeah, he holds the ties the record. 94-yard punt return touchdown. Calvin, did you know the answer to this one?
I didn't. I said Leon Washington.
And a very good guess at that. I believe he's like number 3. He has a big one in there as well. But, Nate Burleson, 94-yarder. Noah, did you know this little fact?
I actually did a whole bunch of research about the Seahawks punt return stats a couple weeks back because, to be honest, I was studying for one of your quizzes, but it was like 4 weeks ago. So I was I need to know my Hawks. And I remembered that the one category where I was surprised was punt returns. It was Burleson. I don't remember exactly what stats he was. I can't remember if I think he was the leading punt returner of all time for Seattle. But I did say Burleson and got lucky.
Wow, so homework paid off. So it just goes to show you, kids, hit the books, because studying does pay off. Because look at Noah, man. He's got double the score of Calvin right now, all because he did his homework. So kids, do your homework, shut up and stop complaining. All right, YouTube, let's see how you guys did after that turn of events. I expect some shifting to go on here. Oh, and I'm wrong. I didn't do my homework here in the analytics, because you guys didn't move at all. Tyler Greaves holds at 1, DJ from Cali at 2, Crisostamo at 3, Kivu in 4th, Shinoy still at 5th. Wow, we've got a tight race. Nobody's given up position. But now we go on to the exciting part of the final stretch of the trivia contest. Double points. Starting right now, every question worth double, and they get a little trickier. So here we go. Question number 10. Double points. Where did I first meet Mark Collins of Save Our Seahawks? Harborview Medical Center, CenturyLink Field, Hawkfest, or Super Bowl 48? Where did I meet Mark Collins of Save Our Seahawks? Harborview Medical Center, CenturyLink Field, Hawkfest, or Super Bowl 48? You have 3 seconds. Time is up. 11 of you guys in YouTube land got this one. I know I'm playing little tricks on you here. Had to kind of mix it up. Yes, I met Mark Collins at Harborview Medical Center. I'll tell you the story about that in a second. But Calvin, you would have to be a lucky guess or watch one of my really old videos. Did you get lucky?
I didn't. I said Super Bowl 48.
We were both at Super Bowl 48, so I commend you on that answer. But we were at the same game. Did not meet. I would not meet him till like a year or several months later after that game. Dukes of Hazzard in the super chat says, "Hey everyone, look forward to some Emerald Downs games in the future. Don't forget the like button and some merch. Go Mark Collins." Thank you, Dukes of Hazzard. Noah.
You know, I'm a little bit upset that I didn't get this one, because why else would you put Harborview Medical Center as one of the options? But I still said Hawkfest and got it wrong.
Oh man, I'm surprised you didn't psychoanalyze me. I think you psychoanalyzed yourself out of it and didn't go for what seems like an obvious one. Yes, he reached out to me. Actually, we met because we were both in bands at the time, and we knew the same music agent. And she said, "Hey, you need to meet Mark. Mark, there's Norb. He plays for a dance band. You're a country band. You guys should get together because you guys are both Seahawks fans." He called me up and said, "Hey, we need to." We need to see this guy named John Bachner who just got paralyzed in a car accident, huge Seahawks fan. And he said, let's go meet and go pay him a visit at Harborview Medical Center. And we did. And we brought him some stuff. Doug Baldwin had paid him a visit earlier in the week. But that was actually where we got the idea of starting our charity, Fans for Good. Started out as 12-something-12s and then became Fans for Good, which is what it is now. But it was actually our first day of meeting when we got together to pay John Bachner a visit after that very tragic accident that he got into. But it was a big day for us. A lot of things changed in our lives after that point. So, little backstory. That's why Harborview Medical Center, not the obvious place because it's obviously doesn't fit any of the other places on that list, but it was very momentous for us. So let's go to the scoreboard and see in YouTube land, where did that place things here? Oh, just a little bit. Tyler Greaves still on top with a pretty sizable lead. DJ from Cali in second. Norb is the best, moves back up to third. Crisostamo hanging in there in fourth, and Kivu in fifth. But it's a very tight competition. Only a couple thousand points separate the group, and that could all happen. That could all change right here. Let's go to the second to last question right now. Question 11. Double points. Why did Seahawks Martin miss this episode? Was he had a piano lesson, Vegas vacation, Vietnamese class, or a family dinner? Why is Seahawks Martin not here today? Piano lesson, Vegas vacation, Vietnamese class, or family dinner? I think he was all over the chat telling about everybody where he was at, so I expect a lot of you to get it. And most of you did. 22 of you got this. You're obviously paying attention to the chat and his own posts. But was our panel paying attention during our off-air conversations? Calvin, tell me you knew where Martin was this whole time.
Oh yeah, he was kind of spamming the chat saying he was going to Vegas, and so it was kind of engraved in here.
All right, so you got it. That puts you in at you're at 5 now with Noah, just a 1 point lead. closing in, but Noah, a chance to extend the lead. Noah, you must have known this as well, or did you?
Well, last time I think he said his family dinner starts at 6:30. So I'm just kidding, of course, Vegas, because he joined our call before we went live and said it was in Vegas.
Okay. All right. Well, most people knew that one. So Noah, your lead is safe, 8-5, a 3-point lead. Let's go see how the scoreboard changes here going into the final stretch. Well, a couple changes at the bottom there. Tyler Greaves in first, DJ from Cali second. Norb is the best in third. By the way, the scoreboard difference is only like 400 points. It's like 10-621, 10-225, and 10-047. And then Kivu moves up to fourth with 8871, and Japanese Beast in fifth with 8376. Anything can happen. Let's find out. It's all hinges on this final question. Let's see how well you've been paying attention to what I've been up to. Here we go. A very NorbCam-centric question right here. Good luck, everybody. Final question. Double points. I should have made it triple points. I actually can't. What is the name of the Lionsgate horror movie I wrote and directed? Alone, The Intruder, Frayed, The Demon Within. What's the name of the Lionsgate horror movie I wrote and directed? Alone, The Intruder, Frayed, The Demon Within. And if you looked on the back of my posters, you'd know this too. Time is up. Oh, not as overwhelming a correct response as I expected. 14 of you did get it. The majority of the YouTube got it. Yes, it was the movie called Frayed, and actually I have a picture of it right there. That's the movie, baby. That is a horror film. You can actually get it at Amazon streaming. You can get this DVD, and you can get it on Xfinity, YouTube, iTunes. I'll tell you a whole story about that sometime. But yes, I actually did co-write, and co-direct this movie, which came out in 2009, back when they still had video stores and stuff. Okay.
Wow.
To the guys, to the panel, Calvin and Noah, 3-point lead. For Cal, I guess no matter what, Noah's got the 3-point lead, so there's no way you're going to catch him. But let's just see if you can make it close. Calvin, did you guess this one correct? I'm going to assume you didn't know this. Did you get lucky?
I got lucky. I got it right.
Hey, all right. Awesome. That was total guess, right?
It was. I was just like, I have no clue. Let me just go with C.
When in doubt, go with C. And I kind of put it that way. Noah, how well do you know me? Did you know me well enough to know this?
I'm afraid not. I said
no pun intended, or was it?
I said The Intruder. I was like, that sounds cool. I was hoping it wasn't as corny as The Demon Within, but it wasn't. So it was Frayed. I was like, okay, it's probably The Intruder or Frayed. I didn't think Alone, because I'm like, Norb doesn't even think like that. Norb got a family. He's not alone. I was thinking either Frayed or The Intruder, and I got it wrong.
Sorry, man. I should tell you, though, all these titles, there's no BS titles here. Actually, Alone was the working title before we changed it, right before we released it. So there's some mixed truth to there, but actually it was Alone for the longest time until right before we premiered it in Los Angeles. The Intruder was actually the first ever home video horror movie I made back in the 6th grade or 7th grade. The Intruder?
Yeah, I really like that name.
Oh, it was cool, man. It was like 2 minutes long, and a guy walks in with a mask, slashes this guy's throat sitting on a chair, and then somebody else comes in, and he gets slashed up, and then someone blows him away with a gun, and that's the end of the show. It's great plot. And ironically, The Intruder was the name of the RV that we rented during the production of our movie. Our basically our production trailer was called The Intruder. We couldn't believe it. It was like, hey, our movie, the first horror movie ever made, is being the trailer. Who names an RV The Intruder? I never got that, but I thought it was cool as hell. It's like, what kind of marketing plan is this? I know, here's a great name for an RV, The Intruder. Yeah, that's going to be a really welcome vehicle when they come driving up. The Demon Within was actually a script I wrote as a sequel to Frayed, so you were way off on that, Noah. It was actually a real title, real script, has never been made yet, but it was the sequel, and I already told you about Alone, so you're off. You psychoanalyzed me way off on this, brother.
Still think it's corny. Well,
whatever. So you guys were close. It was 8 points. Noah, Calvin, you had 7. Tight ball game. Calvin had the early lead, but then Noah had a quite sizable lead. But you almost closed it at the end there, Calvin. If you could have gotten that one extra question, you would have won the game. But that's the way the ball bounces. So let's go to the final podium. Let's see who's got a chance to win some NorbCam merch or co-host the show. Let's go to the final scoreboard. Here we go. On the podium in third place with 9 questions, Kivu. And in second, DJ from Cali. And in first place, the winner of the NorbCam Seahawks Trivia Contest number 11 is Norb is the best! Oh my gosh, Norb is the best! Comes in from behind, was off the podium for most of the contest, and comes in to sneak in and get that final answer. Norb is the best. Whoever Norb is the best is, you're correct. Norb is the best. Take a picture of that winning title screen. Send me an email at norb@norbcam.com, and we'll connect and talk about how we can get you on the show. Or if you want to have some Seahawks or NorbCam merch, we'll do it that way too. So thank you guys. That was fun. I did not see that coming. We had a tie. We had like 2 guys going back and forth in first and second, and all of a sudden Norb is best comes in and steals it at the very last question. Pretty cool, guys. All right. And that is it for the trivia contest here, number 11. Dukes of Hazzard in the super chat says, Norb is the best. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the support. So that's it, guys. That was fun. Always a lot of surprises. Guys, I always got to ask you, which was the most surprising question in the trivia contest today? Calvin, which one did you were you most surprised at?
So this wasn't the most surprising, but this is the one that hurt the most. It was the one about Bruce Irvin's sack numbers from last season. Just because I tend to feel like I do a pretty okay job of, keeping up on statistics, and I just let this one slip. And so it kind of this one hurt. You
were close, man. You rounded up. You were close. You fell into the trap. Noah, how about you? Any surprise questions in there?
Wilson birthplace, probably.
Yeah, you guys both got that one wrong, huh? And that was one that the audience was just like 90% of them got that right. I don't know. They must be fast on the alternate keyboard. Wilson, birthplace. Okay. So, and I know you guys don't have the luxury of looking it up. So at least you guys are all being honest. Okay, I can't finish the show without giving you guys a chance to talk about your own channels and where they can find your material and your great video insights on things. So, Calvin, why don't we start with you? Tell them a little bit about your channel, where they can find you.
Yes, sir. So you can find me on YouTube at Steezy A. Smith. You can find my brother right here, Noah, at DJ Squabo, DJ SQUABO. Our links will be in the description. We just dropped a collab on each of our channels. I dropped one earlier this week. We're just talking about the best destination that no one's talking about for Jamal Adams. So y'all make sure to show some love. Check out that video on my channel. And then check out the best fit for Jamal Adams on Noah's channel. It was a collab from us that he just dropped last night. So be sure to click on our channels, tap in, show us some love, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe to Big Bro right here, Norb. As always, it's always a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much. Really thankful. And so be sure to like this video, subscribe to him if you haven't already, subscribe to us, and appreciate everything. All right. Noah, how do you finish with that great performance there by Calvin? Tell them about your channel, man.
So I have a video coming up tonight with my exact statistical predictions for DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett this upcoming season. It premieres at 8 o'clock. But also every Saturday from 10 to 1, we talk sports. This week is just going to be me and Calvin. For the next couple of weeks, it's just going to be me and Calvin on the show. We take these live sports quizzes, which is really fun now. It's replaced Boelt everybody. Super fun. Test our sports knowledge. If you tune in, you can test your knowledge, see what names you know that we might not have known. It's a lot of fun. So from 10 to 1, tune in live on the KGRG app. Or if you can't make that time, you can always listen to the podcast on our SoundCloud link in the description below.
All right. Yes. And again, their social media handles are right there, but you can find all that as well in the description of the video. So yes, do us all a favor, hit that like button for my video and their videos as well. Hit subscribe and that notification bell so that you'll always be notified when a new video drops. All right, guys, thanks so much for being part of this. We will do this again. We do it every week. Sometimes the schedule fluctuates as it did today because sometimes it's just life gets in the way. But usually Wednesdays we do the show in the afternoon, unless you're on Vegas vacation or piano lessons. Usually it's a Wednesday afternoon. But we will try to let you know in advance. But we'll always try to get the gang, or at least part of them, in there to talk about the latest Seahawks and NFL news. All right, you guys, appreciate you guys doing this. And again, for thanking you guys, the viewers, you guys make it happen. So for everybody who was in the chat blowing things up, I saw a lot of politics being talked about. I prefer it not to be, but I know that that's kind of on everybody's minds these days. But the chat is for what it is, you guys to talk about things. And for you guys who did the super chat, appreciate your support. And then for everybody who just sat along, and or for those who played in the trivia, nice job, especially Tyler Greaves. I feel for you, man. You were like leading the whole way, and all of a sudden, but it happens, man. But play again next time. And for everybody who just wanted to watch all the craziness, we appreciate you too. So we'll check you guys next time. Until then, go Hawks, baby.